Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to take a look at the FAQ for, well, honestly, mostly Mega Gengar EX. Couple other bits in here, but mostly Mega Gengar. Now remember, over in Japan they had Inferno X, and that is largely going to be translated over here as Phantasmal Flame. That is generally what we're getting. But there are actually a couple of other bits that make up Phantasmal Flame, and largely here we're talking about, over in Japan, the Gengar and Diancie decks. The Mega Gengar, Mega Diancie decks. They were their own decks, they were standalone decks released over in Japan, and essentially they are being folded into Infernal Flames because I don't know where else are they going to put them now, and the answer is, okay, fine, good point, let's roll with that. So these are going to be from Phantasmal Flames, but they weren't actually Phantasmal Flames over in Japan. You see where we're going with this. And we need to have a chat about these rulings. You need to know them. Remember what I say, ladies and gentlemen. If you're going to play the games, you need to know the rules. Well, that's where I come in, trying to make sure you need to know the rules. So, with that in mind, we can start off with Mega Diancie. And the Mega Diancie one's actually kind of quick and kind of easy. You see, Mega Diancie has an ability which says it takes 30 less damage from attacks. Simple as that. Okay. Well, what if Honchkrow, I don't know why they've gone specifically for Honchkrow in the FAQ, but they have, so we're going to roll with it. If Honchkrow uses its attack to do 120 to a bench Pokemon, and that bench Pokemon is Diancie, well, does it get reduced to 90? Yes. Yes, it does. To be fair, they went for Honchkrow because Honchkrow is actually in the deck, so I kind of get it. It makes perfect sense. It's in the Gengar deck, might as well use them. The attack is free energy, and you discard 2 energy and do 120 to one of your opponent's bench. Key thing here is, yes, it is reduced by 30. Diancie's ability doesn't say when it's active or anything like that. It just always reduces 30 damage from attacks, including if it's on the bench. So yay! And now we move into the Mega Gengar section of the FAQ, which we will not be leaving. I mean, I say, not, you know what I mean. We won't be leaving until we finish with the FAQ. Now, Mega Gengar has got a rather ridiculous ability whereby if it's in play, and it just has to be in play, as long as it's in play, you're good, and one of your Darkness-type Pokemon gets knocked out by an attack from your opponent's Pokemon EX, your opponent takes 1 less prize. Over the course of the game, that is going to add up. Although, very importantly, does not stack. That's very important. Your opponent takes 1 less prize, but if you've got 2 Gengar out and they knock out an EX, they don't take no prizes. That would be a little bit silly. Okay. Well, if my Mega Gengar is on the bench, and it's knocked out by, I don't know, let's say Fezandipiti's attack, which could happen, it does 100 to the bench. I'm using the Pokemon they use in the FAQ. Will it reduce the number of prizes taken? Yes, absolutely. Because there's nothing in Gengar's ability that says your active Pokemon EX. So as long as it's a Darkness type EX, and as long as Gengar is in play, you're good to go. Now, of course, there is a question of, well, hang on a second, if Gengar's knocked out, why do they take 1 less prize? Well, this is the way it's been for a while. This ability essentially works on the way out as well. So it's giving you a lot more protection. This is a good thing. Okay, so let's imagine we've got something like Marnie's Grimmsnarl, for instance. Very good card, sees a bunch of play, has an attack, Shadow Bullet, that does 180 to the active and 30 to one of your bench, or one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. I.e., it can knock out active and bench at the same time. It can take multiple KOs. How does this interact with Gengar? Well, exactly like you'd think it would. Gengar says that when your Darkness Pokemon is KO'd by an opponent's Pokemon EX, your opponent takes 1 less prize. So assuming both your Pokemon are Darkness, the active gets KO'd, your opponent takes 1 less prize. the bench gets KO'd, your opponent takes one less prize. And then over the course of both of them, your opponent's actually taking 2 fewer prizes, which is kind of fantastic. Yeah, Gengar looks pretty gosh darn good is what I'm going for here. This is very, very nice. Well, what if we're up against a Sinister EX? There were a lot of good EXs in Twilight Masquerade. One of the best sets for EXs we ever had. Maybe the best, honestly. This was not one of them. However, it does have the attack Rebrew. Put 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon for each basic grass energy in your discard pile. Then shuffle those energy cards back into your deck. Well, if that KOs my Pokemon, my Darkness Pokemon with Gengar on the field, does my opponent take 1 less prize? Nope. Because Gengar stops prizes or reduces prizes being taken when the KO happens by damage from an attack. This isn't damage, this is placing damage counters, and therefore it won't be reduced. Now you might be asking yourself, hang on a second, Wassy, if the people writing the FAQ wanted to use an example of an EX that places damage counters, and even if they were dead set on using one from Twilight Masquerade, why wouldn't they just use the example of Dragapult, who places damage counters to take KOs all the time and is one of the best Pokemon in the game, instead of going for Sinister? And my answer would be yes. Now, another interesting Pokemon we're going to be getting soon, it's the one that's going to be coming around, again, in Phantasmal Flames for us, is Absol EX. And Absol has a really rather nice attack that gets an automatic instant one-hit KO, kind of one-hit KO, depending how you think about it, on the proviso that the Pokemon you're going after has exactly 6 damage counters on. And if they have exactly 6 damage counters on, boom, instant KO, job's a good un. We can already see where we're going with this one, can't ya? What if you use this to KO a Darkness Pokemon with Mega Gengar on the field? Does 1 less prize get taken? No! Because this is an effect of an attack. This is not damage from an attack, and therefore it will not reduce the amount of prizes being taken. So here's a fun one. Legacy Energy. What if a single prize Darkness Pokemon, let's say Ghastly, just because it's a basic form of Gengar. Let's say a Ghastly's sitting there, and it's got a Legacy Energy attached. And it gets KO'd by damage from an opponent's Pokemon EX, so it meets all the requirements of Mega Gengar, and stops a prize being taken. Well, how does that interact with Legacy Energy? Because Legacy Energy stops a prize being taken on a KO, but cannot be applied more than once per game. If Ghastly with Legacy Energy attached gets KO'd, with Gengar out, has Legacy Energy still been applied? Yes. Even though they weren't taking any prizes anyway because of Gengar, Legacy Energy is counted as having been used and is not allowed to be used for the rest of the game. Basically, try and avoid that situation if you could. Now, speaking of Darkness Pokemon that stop prizes being taken, how about Monkey Dory EX? The ability, oh no you don't, says that if it's knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon and you got Pecharunt EX in play, your opponent takes 1 fewer prize card. Well, let's assume you've got Pecharunt EX in play, and you've got Mega Gengar in play, and this gets knocked out by damage from an EX. How many prize cards get taken? None. No prize cards get taken. And this was nice and easy. It just reduces by 1 with Gengar. It reduces by 1 with Monkey Dory. You add both of them up and you go, oh, that's none now. Got it. Also kind of makes me want to play Monkey Dory, honestly. This one sounds kind of fun. And then very much on the same side, if you got a Darkness Pokemon with Legacy Energy attached, let's say a 2-prizer, and then Mega Gengar on the field, it gets KO'd by damage from an opponent's Pokemon EX. Again, no prize cards will be taken. -1 for Mega Gengar, -1 for the Legacy Energy. This is a much better situation than the situation where you lose your only use of legacy energy when Gengar would have stopped the prize being taken anyway. And then finally, the last ruling really overlaps with an earlier one. What if Mega Gengar EX itself is KO'd? Yeah, it still works. We've seen this, like I said before, we've seen this a bunch in the past. Essentially, these abilities work on the way out, so you good. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's what you need to know. Those are the rulings. They're basically all about Mega Gengar. But Mega Gengar is a very interesting, relevant Pokemon, so we need to know this stuff. And now you do. So now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about all of these in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at Diancie. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. And of course, get shout-outs on the channel, like the lovely Zarek Paris, who's been a supporter of ours for a long time now and seems to be a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.